I'm Lauren with Pack Hacker, and in this video we're taking a detailed look at the Tortuga Compression Cube, which I've been testing for the last 2 weeks. Let's dive in. As far as packing cubes go, this one is pretty straightforward. So the main thing is this compression system, which I'll get into when we're actually looking at like the functionality of this thing. But in terms of the materials, this is their like lightweight version. This is a 70D ripstop nylon versus their other packing cubes that don't have compression are their, the Shell 70 RS, which is like a sailcloth material. So it's a little bit crunchier. You can see this here. You can see that ripstop pattern, and this thing is pretty bulked out. You can also see that it's a little bit lumpy, but even with that lumpiness, which we'll see what's inside, it still does, like it still comes together really well, and it still has functional compression. So that's really good. We also, in terms of like what's going on the outside of this thing, it's really not a lot. We have reverse coil YKK zippers. We have dual zippers on the main compartment, and then just a single zipper on the actual compression area. And then we just have a little Tortuga logo here, and then a little grab handle. This grab handle seems to be a little bit overkill for me. I don't really find myself grabbing cubes in general from a grab handle, but this also, like when you pick it up, it just like, it's pretty big, right? Like it's pulling apart from the cube pretty significantly. I feel like a lot of the times when we see it, they only pull up about like that much, I guess, really. So a little bit interesting, but it's not like it gets in the way or anything like that. It stays pretty flush to the cube itself, and it is only on that one side. So it is, you know, a pretty straightforward cube, not really a ton going on there. We do have one single size here at the time of recording this. So this is the only size available. This is the size of their largest packing cube in their 3-piece set. And it is fairly lightweight. So this is about 5 ounces in weight. And it like just feels really nice, soft, durable, and flexible too, which is good for when you do something like I just did, which is pack this out a little too much. So let's take a look at what's on the inside. If you're finding this video helpful, be sure to hit subscribe so we can keep making content to help you travel smarter. So if we're looking at this cube, like I mentioned, this is all completely decompressed, or completely compressed, I guess you could say. So in order to get this compression cube going, what you do is you just open up that white zipper hole, and this is, it unzips around all the sides, and then you see this like really nice stretchy mesh material. So that's what happens when you load this, like when you load up your cube, you know, get everything inside, and then you just go through and you actually do the zipping. So what I like to do is I kind of put my fingers underneath it to guide it around, because I do notice that in areas like this where it's bowed out a little bit more, and part of that is just me kind of throwing stuff in here, right? Like if you wanted to make this a little bit more even across the board, it's going to be a lot easier to do. But that still does a pretty solid job at zipping around really bulky items. So locks right down. Obviously that space is not utilized completely, but let's take a look at the inside here. So I would say in terms of max amount of stuff that can be included in a cube, this is pretty much the max for this one here. I did have a little bit of unutilized space here that I could have probably just been a little bit more efficient with. So, you know, that's neither here nor there, but I do have 2 layers of clothing here. So this is, when it's compressed, it's 5.7 liters, and then when it's expanded, it's 8.5 liters. So you get about 33% of compression or expansion on this thing, which is pretty solid. That's, I mean, pretty significant when you're trying to get everything into your bag. So I think it does a really great job at that. If I take off that first layer and then close this, it's definitely a flatter experience and a lot more like a quicker experience, a smoother experience to get everything in there, and it just lays down pretty flat and nice. So it does a really good job with that. I think in terms of like packing cube function, it looks good. You can see I've got a little bit of a blemish on the outside there, but it hasn't spread or anything, which means that that ripstop is doing its job. And then looking at the inside, unpacking all of this to just kind of look at it. It's not anything too crazy, right? We don't have, like, we've got one single piece of material. It's not like a double liner that's going to get all folded up and weird and crinkly in here. So that's really nice. The one thing that I did notice with myself, and this is kind of like a user thing, it's got a little piece of hair stuck in there, is that these zipper pulls are black, where the expansion one is like a gray, light gray color. And I almost wish that was reversed for myself personally, because I like that they made them different colors, because then you know which zipper pull you're grabbing. You don't have to like think about it, right? The problem is that I found myself gravitating toward the lighter one all the time, even when I was just trying to get into this main compartment. And part of that is because when you're not in like a super well lit room and you're in your travel backpack or you're trying to get into this cube, this color is going to stand out a lot more, and it did stand out a lot more for me. So then, you know, I gravitated toward it, and then I just in general had a hard time finding where these actual like zipper pulls were. Again, kind of a skill issue. I just needed to kind of figure it out and get used to it. But I think that would have been nicer for me personally to have those zipper pulls a little bit reversed. But they do feel very durable, nice and easy to grab. And in like a very general sense, aside from the way that it opens, in terms of functionality and like material even a little bit, they feel pretty similar to me to like the Peak Design Packing Cube. They are similarly priced at the time of this video as well. So, you know, you get a similar amount of space, similar amount of like a packing experience, that compression. So I think it does a really good job at that. And also, if you check out our review of the Travel Backpack Lite, you'll see that this fits really nicely in there as well. So I think in terms of like a cohesive system, if you're all Tortuga gear, then this is going to be a great addition to that. So there you have it, the Tortuga Compression Cube. Thanks for keeping it here at Pack Hacker, your guide to smarter travel, and we'll see you in the next one.